Within SOLIDWORKS, there's quite a few ways to create holes or create cutouts. There's all sorts of cut features. But if you want to create any standard size hole or threaded hole or a specific bolt hole, you're going to want to do that using the Hole Wizard. So if I click on the Hole Wizard, the first thing we'll cover is the Positions tab here. And there's two options. You can either create a new sketch by selecting a flat face, or you can create a 3D sketch for the hole. I'll go ahead and click on this top flat face, and everywhere I click, it's going to add another instance of the hole. To position these, you can then come in and add in any dimensions or relations that you want. For example, I can dimension that off by 1/2 of an inch, and then from the other edge by 1.5 inches. And then if I want to remove out any holes, you can simply just click on these and hit the delete key. I'll go ahead and exit the feature and come back in and go back into that Positions tab. And the other option here is 3D Sketch. And that'll actually allow you to sketch on any surface. So you can create holes on curved surfaces or flat faces in any direction. So if we had, let's say, quite a few 1/4 inch holes coming around this part, we could do it all in a single feature. I'll go ahead and delete most of these out, once again by just clicking on the points and hitting delete. And I'll just leave one in on the side face and one on the top. And then I'm going to come back into the type. Right now I have just a hole selected, and this will just create either a blind hole or a through hole. And you can see you can select a standard. I'm going to stick with the ANSI inch. And by default, if you're selecting out hole sizes, it's going to show every single hole that it has stored in the database. You can also come in and say fractional drill sizes, and that'll just show fractional. And then there are also several other options. If you needed a specific tap drill, you can choose one of these out as well. For threaded holes, you can click on the straight tap, and we can select out, let's say, 1/4 inch 28, for example. And then we have the option of choosing an end condition, just like any extrusion. Or we can set the depth here for the blind end condition. And you can also select the length of the thread itself. You also have a few options of how to display the hole. You can drill it out to the tap drill diameter. You can have it show the cosmetic thread. And you can also have it remove out where the thread would be. The one thing you don't want to confuse this with is an actual schematic thread. This will simply remove out the diameter of the threads all the way through. And lastly, there are also quite a few other hole types. We can choose a counter bore. And you can see that I'll create that sink. And the same is true for the countersink hole. And we can set this to any size here. And you can see that it has that conical inset as well as the blind hole through. And the other two options are a tapered tap. And there are also some legacy hole sizes from earlier versions of SolidWorks. So if I click OK here, it'll add in those hole features. To edit a Hole Wizard hole, you can come back in and edit the feature. You can also edit the sketch that the position was drawn on, and this will also allow you to change those positions. Or we could even add in more holes by adding in more points. And that's how the Hole Wizard works. If you work with bolts in an assembly, the Hole Wizard is also quite useful because it'll automatically populate bolts from the toolbox to Hole Wizard holes. Whereas if I were to create an extruded cut, and let's say create a 1/4 inch hole, it's not going to automatically see that as a hole to add a bolt to.